Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. After a one-week hiatus, we are back, and we have plenty of sports to talk about, such as the Chargers and the Rams draft. Did both teams do good? Did one team do good? Or did both teams do bad? Spoiler alert, at least one of those teams did really good in that draft. And the Lakers are on the struggle bus. The injuries are just piling up. LeBron is back out again, and AD is probable. Lakers are still hovering around the 5 through 7 spot, and if they get to the 7th spot, they're basically in the play-in round. Also, speaking of struggles, the Dodgers and Angels have both been struggling. At least the Padres have been doing decent, but the Dodgers got swept by the Cubs. The Angels' bullpen looks like the Titanic. Absolutely atrocious from both teams. We also have some beach volleyball talked in the NCAA women's volleyball scene, as UCLA, USC, LMU, and Cal Poly are in the NCAA tournament. That's half the field right there, as there are only 8 teams in the NCAA beach volleyball tournament. And 3 of those 4 teams have advanced to the winners bracket semifinals. Who are those teams? We'll find out in a little bit. Also, we have some MLS, NHL, and all sorts of other sports to talk about, as the Galaxy and LAFC are underway, and the Ducks and the Kings are still struggling. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for tuning in on this beautiful Friday afternoon. I'm getting my days mixed up. Why? Because it's been a week since I've done the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Last week I was just too busy with everything in my life, and I just couldn't squeeze time in to do so. So I'm back here this week, and I think it was perfect to have the SoCal Supreme Sports Show this week instead of last week, just because the NFL draft was going on, and I didn't want to just recap the first day and then just say, here's who the Chargers are going to be taking. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Or here's who the Rams are going to be taking. Especially since the Rams didn't even have a first-round pick. So that's why I decided to cancel it last week and then just have a big-time show this week. Try not to go too long, but we have a lot of sports to get into. Lots of sports in Southern California. Whether it's collegiate or whether it's pro sports, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show is going to bring it to you. Live and direct. And without any further delay, let's get on into the SoCal sports. But first, we have a word from our sponsors. The first sponsor from IE Sports Radio is Legacy Financial. 2020 was indeed a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment, you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, or you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, give IO a call at 510-928-2104. That number again is 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Io and her husband, Andrew, are just 2 people on a mission to help families build a legacy, because everyone in this world needs a legacy. You can follow Legacy Financial on Twitter at legacy_uncut. You can follow them on Instagram at Sims_uncut. And if you go to the search bar on Facebook, type in the word legacy, then the word uncut, and then you'll be able to follow them and like them on Facebook. And then the second sponsor for IE Sports Radio is the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is like any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. You can follow the Southern California Warriors on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, and you can follow them on Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, and you can follow them on Facebook by going to the search bar and typing in the word Southern, the word California, and then the word Warriors, and then poof, just hit enter, and then you'll be able to like or follow the Southern California Warriors on Facebook. So thank you to our two sponsors for being the official sponsors of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So without any further delay, let's get on into the Southern California sports action. As we say hello to Justin Lahr, he says, have a great show. I appreciate it, my man. Justin Lahr has his show, High Octane Entertainment, tomorrow at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. He does a great job with his show. I always enjoy starting my Saturdays off by listening to his show. So, start with some NFL talk. So, the NFL draft was last week, and everyone's saying the Chargers did really well in the draft, and I couldn't agree more. The Chargers, I think, really excelled, and I think that team got a whole lot better. So I'll just go round by round on which pick the Chargers and Rams got. So starting with the Chargers, the first round, the Chargers selected Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle, or at number 13. And that is a great pick just because it helps beef their O-line up, because they don't want Justin Herbert to get killed or get badly injured. So the Chargers definitely addressed the offensive line. Me personally, I would have liked for the Chargers to get Penei Sewell, but he was not going to fall past. I was being realistic. He was not going to fall past number 10. Like, the fact that he was left on the board for that long is quite astounding, but it just wasn't meant to be, as Penei Sewell was drafted by the Detroit Lions at number 7, which I'm surprised the Detroit Lions went with him over a wide receiver. I guess it was wishful thinking, but I don't know. I think that I highly doubt Sewell was going to go down to number 13. If Penei Sewell dropped all the way to 13, that would have been a gift from the heavens. But unfortunately it wasn't, so there's that. But I like Rashawn Slater. Like, as long as they went O-line, if they had gone like corner or wide receiver, I would have flipped my lid. Just because the Chargers really need to protect Justin Herbert. Like, the offensive line was already atrocious without him, and the fact that Justin Herbert was able to put up so many astounding numbers and improve the Chargers' record is quite amazing. Like, he even got the Chargers wins in their division. They actually beat the Raiders and the Broncos and the Chiefs. The Chiefs one doesn't really fully count, considering the Chiefs were sitting most of its starters, but you could also make the argument that the Chargers were missing practically everybody. They were missing its star wide receiver, its star tight end, most of its defensive backs. I think Bosa might have been out, but like, it got to the point where the Chargers were down to just 8 defensive players altogether. Like, I was fearing that Mike Williams was going to have to play corner or safety, because Mike Williams was involved in a play in week 16 against the Denver Broncos where Drew Lock chucked a Hail Mary and Mike Williams was there to pick it off, which was kind of funny. But that's besides the point. The point is Justin Herbert now has more protection when it comes to the offensive line, and unfortunately that is the... Oh wait, no. The Chargers did select another tackle, but I'm not going to get to that right away. So that was the Chargers' first round pick. The second round pick, the Chargers selected at with the 47th pick, Asante Samuel Jr. and he's from Florida State. So I've heard a lot of good ththings about this guy. I was told that he is a great cornerback, and he wasn't picked because of his size, but he has great speed, and he has a lot of promise when it comes to him. And I think the Chargers' cornerback issue was also something that needed to be addressed as well, just because Chris Harris Jr. was getting up there in age. Casey Hayward was released and eventually signed by the Las Vegas Raiders. And yeah. And I think it's a great pick. I honestly think that the cornerback position should and definitely needed to be addressed. I think I remember the Chargers getting a cornerback in free agency, but this guy helps the youth core when it comes to the cornerback. So I'm all right with this pick. I'm actually very satisfied with this pick, especially since with it being a second-round pick. So good stuff from the Chargers, especially since most of the talented corners were taken in round one, such as J.C. Horn and that one guy that went to the Denver Broncos. I'm blanking on his name. Regardless, yeah, you get what I mean. So in round 3, the Chargers had 2 round 3 picks. The Chargers at number 77 selected Josh Palmer, a wide receiver out of Tennessee. So I was a little skeptical of this pick, but I think his ceiling is very high considering he has a great quarterback to work with, such as Justin Herbert. And honestly, you saw what Justin Herbert was able to do with Teran Johnson and I'm blanking on the other wide receiver's name. It was Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Teran Johnson, and it was Jalen something. He came out of Virginia, but regardless, I'm going to eventually remember his name. But Justin Herbert really will help him out a whole lot, especially since the Chargers have Mike Williams in his 5th year, and I think they're going to franchise tag him because next year, well, actually, no, they can't franchise tag him. He's still in his 5th year. He's picked up his 5th year option. So the thing about Mike Williams is that he's in his 5th year option, and there were rumors that the Chargers were going to ship him off to the Ravens for Orlando Brown, but that never really happened. So there's that right there. And honestly, I think getting Josh Palmer really helps. And again, with Mike Williams in his 5th year, and in case Mike Williams does want to test free agency, he doesn't want to come back to the Chargers, I think having a guy like Josh Palmer really helps. So that's good. I think this wide receiver pick will benefit them quite nicely. And Jalen Guyton is his name. How do I not know that, since I'm a Chargers fan? It's been a while since I've done this show. But regardless, I like this Josh Palmer pick. It was a great pick, and I think it's going to benefit them. So he's 6'1", by the way, and he came out of Tennessee. So, and then they also have Joe Reed, who came out of the Ohio. No, Joe Reed came out of Virginia. I guess Jalen Guyton's from North Texas, and Joe Reed is the one from Virginia. And then who's the one from Ohio State? KJ Hill, that's the guy. I'm on their roster as we speak. So, yeah. Okay, so the second third round pick in the draft, the Chargers at number 97 selected tight end Trey McKitty. So I was very weirded out with this pick, and I'm like, okay, why this pick? The Chargers do need to improve their tight ends, considering their tight ends has been somewhat problematic ever since Hunter Henry left. I know the Chargers did sign Jared Cook, but he's getting up there in age. So honestly, I don't think it was the greatest pick of all, but I think it's a good pick to help develop young guys, because the Chargers do need they need tight ends, honestly, and they need better tight ends. They obviously have Donald Parham, who's not that bad of a tight end, but he's not the greatest tight end. I think of all the tight ends in the AFC West, the Chargers probably have the worst ones. Not that I'm saying Donald Parham is bad or Jared Cook isn't good. I just think that Travis Kelce is up there, Darren Waller is up there, and then Noah Fant is kind of up there as well. So there's that right there. And honestly, I think what really disappointed me was that Tommy Tremble unfortunately went in the third round. Looking at it, he went as the 83rd pick, and the Chargers could have drafted him with the 77th pick. Instead, they went wide receiver. So I don't know why the Chargers didn't get Tommy Tremble of Notre Dame. Like, he would have been so good for the Chargers. I know the Chargers were unable to get Kyle Pitts from Florida because he went number 4, which I'm surprised he went that high. But then again, Atlanta needs weapons. Regardless, I think Tommy Tremble would have been a great addition for the Chargers. I think the Chargers kind of messed up there taking Palmer over Tremble. Maybe they were thinking Tremble would be there later in the round, but unfortunately that was not the case. And the Panthers really needed tight end, considering most of their tight ends were either left via free agency, or they've been bad altogether, or they've just been injured, or all of the above. But regardless, Tommy Tremble is on the Carolina Panthers, and Trey McKitty is on the Chargers. Trey McKitty comes from Georgia, which I guess isn't that bad. I think Trey McKitty is a good pick. Like, considering the Chargers need to improve their tight end core, I think that's a solid pick. Most people are mocking the pick just because Trey McKitty came out of Georgia, and honestly, Georgia has kind of been little brother when it comes to the SEC. Well, littler brother anyway, but regardless, I like the pick. I think it's a good pick. So that's it for round 3. Round 4, the Chargers, with the 118th pick, selected Chris Rumpf II from Duke, which at first I was a little skeptical, but I saw him and I'm like, this guy's pretty good. He's a little undersized, but I think this guy really is promising. I think Chris Rumpf will be able to do great things for the linebacker core on defense. So I think this pick is decent. I think this pick is going to help their defense, considering we don't know what's going to happen with Melvin Ingram. We don't know if he's going to be franchise tagged or if he's going to be released, because he is a restricted free agent, and there were rumblings that he was going to go to the Chiefs, but we don't know what's going to happen with Melvin Ingram. Like, maybe the Chargers will sign him to a cheap deal, but honestly, Ingram's getting up there in age. I think he's like 31 or 32, so there's that right there. So I like this pick. I will not complain with this linebacker pick. So now for the 5th round pick. So the Chargers, with the 159th pick, selected Brendan James, offensive tackle from Nebraska. This pick really surprised me, and for the good way. One, I did not know this stat. He played 42 consecutive games for Nebraska. He started all 42 games for Nebraska. I was very surprised to see that. I'm like, I did not know this. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe this guy will be pretty good. And again, the Chargers need to beef up their offensive line, and I think this was a very good pick, honestly. I think the Chargers kind of snuck this pick out, and I think I'm not complaining with this pick. I am not complaining, absolutely not, because the Chargers need to protect Herbert, and most of the talented offensive tackles get selected in like rounds 1 through 3, but I think this guy I think this guy will show promise. I have a good feeling about this guy, so I like this pick as well. Then we jump over to round 6. The Chargers, with the 185th pick, selected Nick Nyman, linebacker from Iowa. This pick was actually from the Titans, courtesy of the Jacksonville Jaguars, because the Chargers traded Desmond King for the 6th round pick. So thanks, Tennessee. Okay, so I think this is an okay pick. I think this pick was based off of special teams, and I think that, speaking of Titans fans, Davidson Crooks just popped in the chat room. Thank you for popping in. He says, what's good? Just recapping the Chargers draft for starters. So that's basically what's going on, and I was talking about how the Chargers used their 6th round pick from the Titans to select Nick Nyman from Iowa. So I think this linebacker pick is good. I think this pick was based off of special teams, so I'm not going to complain. And then the other 6th round pick, the Chargers, with the 198th pick, selected Larry Roundtree III, running back from Missouri. So I was very skeptical of this pick, but I saw that this guy is very reliant on special teams, and that's how he got most of its minutes with Missouri. And I was like, well, the Chargers do struggle with special teams, and who knows, maybe he could prove his worth as a running back. Like, I think he'll be able to do some good work for the Chargers, especially since they don't really have a set running back too, because they obviously have Austin Eckler, but then they also have Justin Jackson, who was kind of off and on when it came to being injured. They also had Joshua Kelly, who had a horrendous rookie year. I mean, he was good early on, and then he started fumbling the ball, hence the Tampa Bay game. So I don't know if I can really trust Joshua Kelly. And it sucks because he's a UCLA guy. But I like this. I'm okay with this pick. I think this Larry Roundtree pick will be good for special teams. Maybe depending on what happens in free agency and what happens with Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson, maybe he'll work his way through the running back ladder. It all depends. So the last pick, the Chargers' 7th round pick, the 241st pick, the Chargers selected Mark Webb, a safety out of Georgia. I'm okay with this pick just because that helps their defense, and honestly, it helps Brandon Staley's defensive scheme just because Staley is a defensive-minded guy, and for the most part, because he was the defensive coordinator from the Rams. So I think this pick does well. And the shocking thing about the Chargers picks were that they did not select one player out of Notre Dame. Like, every year they've selected at least one player out of Notre Dame, but this year marked the first time in like forever since they did not select a player from Notre Dame. Again, they could have gone Tommy Tremble in the 3rd round with their 77th pick, but the Panthers kind of got to him. So, oh well. I guess you got to break the mold somehow, Tom Telesco. So overall, I think that the Chargers, as a Chargers fan, I think their draft grade deserves a B+, if not an A-. I think the Chargers really knocked it out of the park for the most part. I mean, they obviously got Slater, but they did well with addressing some of their other positions, such as cornerback, tight end, wide receiver was decent, and then they even got a other offensive tackle in the 5th round, which I think is a very good pick. I think Brandon James is going to develop once he gets his reps, especially since he played so many reps at Nebraska. I mean, I still can't believe he played 42 straight games with the Huskers. Good Lord. That's impressive. So that's the Chargers draft, and I'm basically grading them just because I'm a fan of the Chargers. I mean, I guess I'll try to grade the Rams, but it's tough to grade them when they kind of didn't get a first-round pick, but they still have success without first-round picks. So, anyway, I'm just going to skim through the Rams' picks. So, the Rams didn't have a first-round pick just because they kind of traded that away to the Lions. Or was it the Jags? I think it was one of those two teams. But regardless, they didn't have a first-round pick. Their second-round pick, with the 57th pick, the Rams selected Tutu Atwell out of Louisville. I think that's a good pick. I think, depending on what the wide receiver core looks like, I think he can work his way in. Now, obviously, he's going to have competition with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, and then many other wide receivers. But I think Tutu Atwell will fit quite well. I mean, it's possible. I forget the running back's name of the Rams that really stood out, but I think Tutu Atwell is going to try to make a resounding impact. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. I mean, it's possible. So yeah. So the second round pick for the Rams, the Rams selected Ernest Jones out of South Carolina. I'm kind of okay with this pick. I think this pick looks decent. Again, I'm no Rams fan, so I can't really fully judge, but this linebacker pick looks obviously promising. It's obviously a third round pick, but you can't complain. I think Ernest Jones will have a tremendous impact. So Cam Akers was his name. Cam Akers had himself the breakout year for the Rams last year at running back. So there's that. So in the fourth round, the Rams had three fourth round picks. Pick number 117, the Rams selected Bobby Brown III, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. The Rams definitely need to boost up their defense since Troy Hill left for free agency. And I think this pick is kind of beneficial. The 130th pick for the Rams, as this pick was from the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Rams selected Robert Rochelle, cornerback from Central Arkansas. I don't know much about this guy, but I think this guy looks decent, honestly. I think he helps out considering Troy Hill left for free agency. That's the guy who I think will really help out the Rams when it comes to free agents, when it comes to the defense. Who knows? Maybe they'll develop him and he'll make a tremendous impact. So he'll get to play corner with Jalen Ramsey. So he'll have some stiff competition. So there's that. And then their final fourth round pick, the 141st pick, the Rams selected Jacob Harris, wide receiver out of UCF. Again, it's another wide receiver pick. He's going to have a lot of competition to deal with, but I think the Rams will be. I think this is an okay pick. So the fifth round, the Rams with the 174th pick selected Ernest Brown IV, defensive end from Northwestern. I think this is a decent pick. I think it helps boost their defense because I think that's the Rams' MO. The Rams definitely excel more defensively than offensively. I mean, they have a new quarterback, so I can't fully judge, but I think this defensive end pick kind of helps them. So there's that. So the Rams did not have a sixth round pick. So we'll jump to round 7 where they had 3 seven-round picks. So the first one comes from Buffalo through Houston. So I'm sorry, that round 5 pick, Rams pick in the 5th round came from Buffalo through Houston. So there's that. So round 7 with the 233rd pick, the Rams selected Jake Funk, running back out of Maryland. I think that's a decent pick. It's a late rounder. And I don't know where Jermar Jefferson went. I have to check. Okay, Yeah, he was selected in the 7th round by the Detroit Lions. I'm trying to find his where he went, just because this isn't the Detroit show. This is the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. So he was the 30th pick. So I think he was the second to last pick, which is kind of weird. That's weird. And then everyone was thinking Jermar Jefferson was a 3rd round pick. So he was the 257th pick, which the Rams had 3 picks beforehand, but they didn't pick him. So spoiler alert. So I'm surprised they went with Jake Funk instead of Jermar Jefferson. I think Jefferson would have been a better pick, but to each his own. Maybe Jake Funk will have the same breakout year as Cam Akers. So they haven't really had a great running back since Todd Gurley, and then he eventually left for Atlanta. So there's that. So the Rams' 7th round pick. The Rams selected with the 249th pick I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Ben Skowronek, wide receiver from Notre Dame. So, again, it's another wide receiver pick. Again, they're going to have to develop these guys in case Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods want to test free agency. Josh Reynolds is kind of a prime example of wide receivers that didn't get a whole lot of love just because he was the wide receiver 3, and then he had to compete with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. So there's that right there. Hold on a minute. Alright, I don't know if you could hear that in the background, but there is a leaf blower, which unfortunately is making it kind of tough for... I don't want that to be in the background, but if it is in the background, it is in the background. I'm just going to have to put the mic a little bit closer, so I'll try to talk a little softer, so there's that. So, anyway, back to the Rams' pick out of Notre Dame. So... Okay, the leaf blower stopped. Anyway, so back to the Rams' pick. Ben Skowronek is going to have to compete with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Deshaun Jackson, who the Rams just signed through free agency through the Philadelphia Eagles. And then they also have to deal with Van Jefferson because Van was a rookie from Florida, and he didn't get to... He didn't get a whole lot of playing time, so yeah, it's gonna be quite the wide receiver thing. So we'll see. And then the Rams' last pick, the 252nd pick, went to Chris Garrett, the linebacker out of Concordia University St. Paul. Y'all thought I was going to say Concordia University Irvine. But Concordia Irvine doesn't have a football team. So it's a linebacker pick. It helps the Rams' defense out. I think this is a solid pick. Again, I think the Rams need to focus more on defense just in case they have to lose other players to free agency. Like I think they're still fine with Aaron Donald. I think his name is Jordan Fuller and Jalen Ramsey. So I think the defensive the linebacker or his defensive end picks look good. So yeah, I mean, if I had to judge the Rams' picks and if I had to give the Rams a grade, I would give them like a B, maybe a C+. Again, I can't really fully judge the Rams just because the Rams didn't have a first round pick, so I can't fully judge that. But I think they went a little crazy on the wide receivers. Unless some of those wide receivers are going to be playing special teams, I don't know what's going to happen. And then the Rams still have Simba Webster, so I don't know. I don't know what the Rams are going to do with all their wide receiver picks. Either they're going to develop them, or they're just going to put them on special teams, or they're just going to use them as trade bait, or they're just going to flat out release them. Regardless, I think the Rams are still fine. Like, the Rams don't really benefit, or I wouldn't say benefit. They don't really, bank on the draft a whole lot just because their team primarily makes the playoffs quite a bit, and then they wind up trading most of their first-round picks to, other teams. So, there's that. So, I'm excited for what the Rams and Chargers can bring. Primarily the Chargers. I think it's going to be a better year for the Chargers. New head coach, new offensive line, possible new weapons. Again, I would have liked the Chargers to have a few of those picks back. I would have liked to see them get Tommy Tremble, the tight end. I would have liked them to get Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was still, I think he got drafted by the Lions. The Lions took a lot of the Chargers picks that I was hoping for. I was hoping the Chargers would get Tommy Tremble. He went to the Lions. I was hoping the Chargers would get Amon-Ra St. Brown. He went to the Lions. I was hoping the Chargers would get Penei Sewell. He went to the Lions. I was hoping the Rams would get Jermar Jefferson, or maybe the Chargers would get Jermar Jefferson. He went to the Lions. And then I also should make note that Demetric Felton, the running back from UCLA, went to the Cleveland Browns. So, yeah. I would have liked the Chargers to get him, too. I think Felton would have been such a great impact for their running back core, especially since he can learn from Austin Eckler. But who knows? Maybe Joshua Kelly will have a sophomore surge. I don't know. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that's pretty much that for the NFL portion of the show. And I think I'm excited for what both teams could bring, especially the Chargers. I really want to see the Chargers make the postseason. I think they have what it takes. It's just all a matter of taking that next big step. Everyone thinks the Chargers are still a few years away. I think this year might be one of their close years. I think they'll either come close to making the playoffs, or they'll make the playoffs and then see where they go from there. Because I know that the AFC is still loaded with the Chiefs, the Bills, and then the Colts, and then the Ravens and Browns. The AFC is so loaded. And then the AFC West is starting to improve as well. And then we still have this whole little unknown saga of where Aaron Rodgers is going to head. Me personally, I don't want him in Denver or in Las Vegas. I really think that Aaron Rodgers will go to the San Francisco 49ers. My thing is, it would be funny if the Packers traded him to the Rams for Matt Stafford. It would be so funny. This is kind of where I wish the Rams held on to Jared Goff a little longer. But regardless, I think Matt Stafford, still being 31, helps out. He's still got a few years left. Aaron Rodgers is kind of interesting considering he's 37, and does he still have a whole lot left in the tank? That still remains to be seen. But I'm not here to poke at Aaron Rodgers, considering he is considering everyone. He is considering Denver, Vegas, the 49ers. I think those are his top few destinations. The Chargers do not need to get Aaron Rodgers. Absolutely not. And then the Rams already got their quarterback in Matt Stafford. So, yeah. So that's it for NFL talk. We'll save NFL for the big time news. So there's that. All right, now let's jump over to the NBA, where the Lakers are on the struggle bus, unfortunately. It's been injury city for them. Before we jump into the Lakers, however, let's actually make note of the Clippers. So, the Clippers have actually locked up the playoff spot. They've locked up a playoff spot, and they are postseason bound, which is awesome. So, the NBA playoffs will feature at least one Southern California team. So, good job to the Clippers. So despite last year's debacle where they wound up blowing a 3-1 lead, I think the Clippers still look solid. My question is, how far can they really go? And it's not a matter of if the Clippers will make the playoffs. It's a matter of where they'll be in the playoffs. Last night, the Clippers swept the season series against the Lakers. They won 118-94, which was no big surprise. The Clippers have pretty much their full roster, with the exception of Pat Beverly. The Lakers did not have LeBron James, who re-aggravated his ankle. Dennis Schroeder is out due to COVID protocols, which is not good timing. What's-his-face? Alex Caruso was out that game. And then it also didn't help that Anthony Davis eventually got back spasms. So injuries just continue to pile up for the Lakers. So as for the Clippers, back to the Clippers. On Tuesday, they beat the Toronto Raptors 105-100. Before any of those wins happened, the Clippers actually kind of hit a little bit of a rough patch, as last Saturday the Clippers lost to the Denver Nuggets 110-104. So there's that. And then last Wednesday the Clippers lost to the Phoenix Suns 109-101, which is kind of if you ask me, considering that could be a Western Conference semifinals matchups. And given the Clippers' bad history in the second round, it's not good. Justin Lahr says, surprised the Lakers didn't do better, but the Clippers are hot. I agree. Problem is for the Lakers, the injury bug has bitten them hard, and I think it's really hurt them quite a bit without having some key guys. It was already bad enough they didn't have LeBron, but now they're without Schroeder. Anthony Davis is still not 100%. Like, the timing of the Lakers losing ways has really been complete garbage. And it's been quite convenient for everyone else. And then I guess last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago, the Clippers beat the Houston Rockets 109-104. So there's that for the Clippers. So the Clippers on Sunday, they play the New York Knicks. That's going to be at 12:30 p.m. Pacific start time, and it's going to be played on ESPN, so that's cool. And then next Tuesday, the Clippers play at the Toronto Raptors. Well, they don't play in Toronto. They're just on the road against the Raptors. You know what I mean. And then Thursday, the Clippers face the Charlotte Hornets. And then next Friday, the Clippers face the Houston Rockets. And then next Sunday, the following Sunday, not this coming Sunday, the Clippers are at the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, again, the Clippers have already locked up their playoff spot, and they're looking good. I think if they could, it all depends on where they finish. Like, to me, I think avoiding Utah in the second round would be convenient. Though Utah, to me, can also be like the Peyton Manning. No offense, Justin, but they could kind of be like the Peyton Manning of the NBA or something like that. I mean, same with the Clippers, though. The Clippers are like snake bitten. And then everyone is kind of speculating the Clippers could face the Lakers in the first round. But also some people are speculating the Lakers could be in the play-in round. So, as for the Lakers, they lost to the Clippers last night, 118-94. Again, they did not have a whole lot of their star players, which really hurt them. But on Monday, they pulled off an impressive victory. They beat the Denver Nuggets 93-89. Low-scoring battle, because most people are complaining and saying, oh my god, these teams score 100-plus points way too much. That's the lone exception. Just goes to show you the NBA can sometimes play defense. And then this past Sunday, the Lakers lost to the Toronto Raptors 121-114. On Friday, last Friday, the Lakers lost to the Kings 110-106. Last Wednesday, the Lakers lost to the Wizards 116-107. And then last Monday, the Lakers lost to the Magic 114-103. And then last Saturday, or this past Saturday, the Lakers lost to the Dallas Mavericks, and this past Thursday, the Lakers lost to the Mavericks 108-93 and 115-110. So it's been a little bit of a tough time ever since the Lakers notched that big win in overtime on April 17th. But as Justin mentions in the chat room, as long as both James and Davis are back in time, they'll go on a run for sure. That is exactly what I'm saying. The Lakers, as long as the Lakers have those two, I'm in no way, shape, and form worried about them. I mean, I'm kind of worried, but not fully worried. Looking at the Lakers' schedule going forward, tonight they play the Portland Trail Blazers. That is a huge matchup right there, considering both teams have the same record at 37-29. On Sunday, the Lakers have another big showdown against the Phoenix Suns, which is huge. And then this upcoming Tuesday, the Lakers play the New York Knicks at Staples Center. And then this upcoming Wednesday, the Lakers play the Houston Rockets. And then next Saturday, the Lakers play at the Indiana Pacers, which is Justin's team. And then they close the season on the road against the New Orleans Pelicans. So for the Lakers, it's going to be quite the week left. Excuse me. It's going to be quite the week, or quite the finish right there, considering they could be in the play-in round, or they could be or they could avoid the opening round altogether, because 7 through 10 basically is forced to play in the play-in round, and you kind of have to wonder what's going to happen with LeBron and AD. Like, does Frank Vogel play them, or does he keep them until they're fully healed? Like, it's kind of a tough one for me. Like, I think the Lakers need to keep AD and LeBron healthy, considering that's kind of their bread and butter. Without those two, the Lakers struggle quite immensely. And then also it doesn't help that Dennis Schroeder is out, and then Caruso is questionable with a foot contusion, and then other injuries to their key players. And Talen Horton-Tucker, I think, was out as well. So the thing about the Lakers is that health is a major concern, and Anthony Davis touched upon this yesterday, that if the Lakers aren't healthy, that a repeat championship could be out of the question. But I think, again, with LeBron and Anthony Davis at least close to full strength, I can see the Lakers going on another championship run. And honestly, I don't care where the Lakers are seated. As long as they're in the postseason, I think they're in good shape. It's just that now it's going to get a little dicey, considering Dallas, the Lakers, and Portland are still hovering above that 5, 6, 7 spot. Like, if the Lakers were to play in the play-in round, they would most likely either get Memphis or San Antonio. Like, San Antonio, I don't think would be a big threat, considering they're not. I mean, they're not great, but they're not bad either. And then the Grizzlies are kind of if you ask me. I think they're still good, but Ja Morant has been outstanding, but the Grizzlies are kind of also that team. The team I hope the Lakers don't face in the play-in round is the Golden State Warriors. That team is a team the Lakers need to avoid at all costs, because the Warriors are good, and imagine what they could have been with Klay Thompson healthy. So there's that right there. But you also got to look at the Lakers' remaining schedule. They got the Trailblazers and Suns, which both teams are really good. The Suns are the biggest surprise, along with Utah. The Knicks have also been quite the surprise in the Eastern Conference, of course. Like, I think that's going to be an intense game right there, considering the Knicks are also vying for playoff positioning in the Eastern Conference. The Lakers do get a freebie with the Houston Rockets, just because Houston has been a train wreck. And then Saturday is also going to be quite interesting with the Pacers. They're kind of in that play-in game. I'm pretty sure they're going to be in the play-in game unless of course something horrendous happens and they miss out by like one game or something. And then the Pelicans are the same. Where are the Pelicans? The Pelicans are like right outside of the play-in round. The Pelicans could also be a team that the Lakers do want to avoid because Brandon Ingram has improved. Lonzo Ball is still balling. Like, it's just, that team is really good. And I forget, Zion Williamson. I was drawing a blank on who that big boy is. Zion Williamson has also been outstanding for the Pelicans. So the Lakers are going to have quite the bumpy ride closing out the season. They have 3 opponents that are under 500, but the Pacers I think are going to be taking their best shot at the Lakers. The Knicks are going to take their best shot at the Lakers, and same with the Pelicans. And best believe the Trailblazers are going to take their best shot. The Trailblazers have the 3rd best offense in the NBA, so it's going to be their high-powered offense with Damian Lillard versus the Lakers' stout defense, which is still first in the NBA. So we'll see what happens with those two, or we'll see what happens to the Lakers. So I think that's going to do it for the NBA talk. Again, I really hope the Lakers can squeak out another championship. I mean, again, health is their biggest concern. They got to get healthy ASAP. And I ain't talking Rocky. So that's pretty much it for the NBA. We'll just briefly talk about the NHL. So, unfortunately to all Duck fans, Anaheim Duck fans, the Ducks have been eliminated from playoff contention. What was looking like it was going to be somewhat of a promising year turned out to be a complete disaster, as they are dead last in the West, and Justin Lahr says Pacers are all but collapsing right now. If they make the play-in, they'll be played out real quick. The play-in played out. That was pretty good right there. But I think the Lakers could win that, and they have been doing decent on the road this season. But it all depends on what type of Lakers we get. Do we get the Lakers that look deflated without AD and LeBron, or do we get the Lakers that will be fighting and scrapping for every point? So there's that. So back to the NHL. The Ducks have been eliminated from the playoffs. The Kings are actually quite close to being eliminated from the playoffs because Vegas, Colorado, and Minnesota have locked in playoff spots. St. Louis has 56 points, Arizona has 48 points, and the LA Kings have 48 points, which, believe it or not, the San Jose Sharks have 48 points, but they are eliminated from the playoffs. But San Jose has played 2 more games than the Kings have, so yeah, the Kings are skating on thin ice when it comes to being eliminated. And it's disappointing because Southern California is not the hotbed for hockey. Maybe it's because Southern California is hot more times than not, and it melts the ice. So, come on, Ducks. At least I want the Kings to at least make it interesting, but I don't think they'd have to run the table. You look at the Kings' last 5 games. The Kings have the Avalanche tonight and tomorrow at Staples Center. Then on Monday they have the Blues at Staples Center. And then they're at Colorado next Wednesday and Thursday. So unless the Kings can suddenly pull a miracle out of their hat and St. Louis stops playing hockey and Arizona stops playing hockey, I don't think the postseason is going to be including the Kings anytime soon. So one can only hope, though, because you look at the Blues' schedule. They have they're at Vegas tonight and tomorrow. And then if the Blues beat the Kings, I think that's going to be the nail in the coffin for the Kings. And then the Blues face the Minnesota Wild. So there's that. And then the Coyotes have the Sharks in their last 2 games of the season, which with how bad the Sharks have been, I mean, they're not as bad as the Ducks, but with how iffy the Sharks are, I think the Coyotes could win both of those games theoretically. So we'll see. But it's looking like Southern California is not going to have a hockey team. So, yay! Poor Southern California hockey in terms of the Ducks and the Kings. C'est la vie, you know. Alright, so just going to jump to some brief soccer talk. So, the LA Galaxy suffered their first loss of the season. They lost to Seattle by a whopping score of 3-0. Raul Ruidiaz had 2 goals for the Sounders, while Brad Smith had 1 goal for the Sounders. The Galaxy put up yet another bagel, which really sucked. I thought the I thought the Galaxy was going to be better than that, but this is what happens when we think, oh, the Galaxy are going to do good after their first 2 games. No. So, moving on to LAFC. LAFC tied with Houston in a 1-1 draw. Corey Bard scored a goal at the 55th minute. However, Houston's Tyler Pasher scored the equalizer 2 minutes after that, which is completely unlucky for LAFC. Like, LAFC scores the game's first goal. Other team scores 2 minutes after that. So, irony. So, LAFC is 1-0-2. In other words, they've won 1 game, they've lost no games, and they've tied twice. So theoretically, LAFC is still unbeaten with a little asterisk, but that's not the point. The point is the Galaxy are 2-1-0. They have 2 wins, 1 loss, and 0 draws. As the reason why I'm mentioning their records right now is because the 2 teams face each other in El Tráfico on Saturday. And it's tough for me to pick between these 2 teams. Like, it's tough for me to determine what the Galaxy are made of. It's tough for me to determine what LAFC is made of. I gotta go with the Galaxy, though. I think the Galaxy, having lost that by that much against Seattle, is gonna get has their bell rung quite a bit. I think the Galaxy losing by that big of a score is really going to wake them up and say, you know, we are much better than that. And also Seattle is a really good team. Like, Seattle is the best team in the Western Conference as of right now. And then LAFC did tie with Seattle, but I think LAFC has just been too inconsistent as of late. And then trying to find where Austin is. Austin is the 4th best team in the Western Conference, and then Houston is the 8th best team. So overall, I think El Tráfico is going to be fun. I wouldn't be surprised if El Tráfico was decided in extra time. Like, I'd like to see the Galaxy pull out a good signature-ish win. I'm not saying their first 2 wins aren't signature-ish, but are we all interested in the Galaxy defeating Miami and New York? Which, if we look at New York, they are the 7th best team in the Eastern Conference, and then Miami is the 6th best team in the Eastern Conference. I don't think we're fully that interested because the Galaxy got highly exposed against the Sounders. And Seattle has one of those high-scoring offenses. I'm no soccer expert, but I know Seattle has a perennially great team. And I know the Galaxy are going to have to face another one of those perennially offensive great teams on Saturday against LAFC. And then LAFC is basically looking for its breakout win of the season, just because they want to set the tone early and often in the Eastern Conference as best as they can, considering their only win was against an expansion team, which hasn't really been all that great. It's still early in the MLS season, so I don't think it's going to be bad if one of those teams lose. But I will also say that they got to get these wins, these big-time wins out of the way, especially when it comes to this rivalry game. So we'll see. And then LAFC also has a big-time matchup next Sunday against Seattle, which that could be another good chance to try to take over the West. And then the LA Galaxy have Austin next Saturday as well. So there's that right there for LAFC and the LA Galaxy. We're going to take ourselves a quick little break. Going to get myself a little bit of a drinky drink. When we come back, we're going to have some NCAA women's volleyball, beach volleyball talk. No set point. You're not coming out tonight or today. Yeah, it's always set point trying to come out whenever I mention volleyball. So, and then after that, we'll also have some talk of the struggling Angels and Dodgers, and we'll also have some Padres talk, and then we'll have some other NCAA sports talk in collegiate in Southern California. So you're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there. What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
And welcome back to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. You can catch all of our amazing shows right here on different platforms such as Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Spotify. The list goes on and on. We're also even on YouTube as well, so feel free to subscribe and you may get some short little clips and teasers of what is coming up for our shows. So, as you heard in the promotions, we had Let's Whine About Sports by Mike Pat going on every Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have The Defining Moment, which we don't know when that's coming back, but hopefully soon. And it's going to be restructured, and it's going to be fun times. And then also we have 3 and Out, which is out of season, but once the NFL schedule gets dropped, then it's going to be fun times. And I know there's going to be a special edition of 3 and Out talking about the whatchamacallit, the NFL schedule release. So there's that too. So definitely keep a lookout for 3 and Out. As for this show, we are in segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And let's talk about some MLB action. So, a lot of Southern California teams are kind of struggling. The one that's truly struggling the most is, well, it's hard to tell which one is struggling the most. It's both the Dodgers and the Angels. Like, you look at the Angels, they are dead last in the AL West. They have lost 5 in a row. And then you look at the Dodgers, they've lost 3 in a row, and they just were recently swept by the Chicago Cubbies. So, kind of bad there. So, looking at the Angels, they just recently got swept by the Tampa Bay Rays, which is absolutely disgusting. I am very disappointed, honestly. They lost the first game 7-3. They lost the second game 8-3. They lost the third game 3-1. And they lost the fourth game 8-3. So, Angels have been really hot garbage. Their bullpen is still their bullpen. And it seems like every time we put faith in the Angels, they wind up blowing it and letting us down hard. And then the previous series wasn't any better, as the Angels lost to the Mariners 2-0 on May the 2nd, and then May 1st the Angels won 10-5, and then on Friday, May 30th, the Mariners won 7-4. So there's that. And like I said, the Angels are dead last in their division, and unfortunately, it really sucks because I thought the Angels were better than that, and Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout deserve better, and everyone is saying for the Angels to sell Art Moreno to sell the Angels and whatnot, so it really is disappointing. I thought the Angels were going to turn the corner, and now it's kind of making me lose hope. Well, not lose hope, but it's kind of making me think, what happened to the Angels? They were on a roll to start the season, and now they are ice cold. And they're dead last in the AL West. They are 4.5 games back. There's still plenty of time, just because, unlike last year, this year is pretty much a 162-game season, where last year was a 60-game season. Regardless, the Angels really have to get it going soon. And they're not the only ones that's struggling. The Dodgers are struggling as well, as the Dodgers lost in extra innings to the Cubs 6-5, which is quite astounding. I didn't think they'd lose that bad. And then they lost the doubleheader in their doubleheader this past week as well. The first game they lost 7-1. Keep in mind doubleheaders are 7 innings. And then they lost game 2 4-3. So that's been another disappointment right there. The Dodgers almost got swept by the Brewers, but hence the word almost. In game 1, the Brewers won 2-1, and then in game 2, the Brewers won 3-1. And then in game 3, the Brewers won in extra innings, 6-5 in 11 innings. And then in game 4, the Dodgers were able to salvage a win, winning 16-4, which kind of makes me wonder, why did the Bats have to come alive then instead of now, or the previous games? It's quite astounding. So there's that right there. So the Dodgers and the Angels actually face one another this weekend in the Freeway Series, which is kind of cool. So the first game, all these games are going to be at Angel Stadium. Game 1 is tonight at 6:38 p.m. And then Game 2 is Saturday at 6:07 p.m. And then Game 3 is on Sunday at 1:07 p.m. The Dodgers then, after that, have a break on Monday. Well, not a break, but they have a day off. But then Tuesday and Wednesday, they play the Seattle Mariners at Dodger Stadium. And then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they play the Miami Marlins, which hopefully that goes their way. It would kind of be bad to lose to Miami. I mean, I don't think they're bad or anything. It's just that I have one of my friends who is a Miami fan, and it would be quite the bummer if the Dodgers lost. So anyway, as for the Angels, after their 3-game series against the Dodgers, they have a 3-game series from Monday through Wednesday against the Houston Astros. It's going to be at Houston, and honestly, this is kind of going to be a brutal stretch for the Angels, as they have the Astros those 3 days that I just mentioned, and then after a day off next Thursday, they have the Boston Red Sox on next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's at Boston. So the Red Sox are one of the more improved teams. They are 1.5 games ahead of everyone else in the American League. I know it's still early, but I kind of had a feeling the Red Sox weren't going to be bad forever. I knew the Red Sox were going to eventually turn it around, but I just didn't think it would be now. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes right there for the Angels. But the Angels have a very brutal stretch. Like, I'm very, very scared. And I think this could either go good for the Angels or it could go bad. And knowing the Angels, they're probably going to pick the bad, because their bullpen is just complete dog doo. Like, it's so disappointing, honestly. And the Angels staff hasn't done anything to fix it. So tonight, Julio Urias takes on Griffin Canning in the pitcher's duel. And then on Saturday, Dylan Bundy is pitching for the Angels. That could be their saving grace. Unfortunately, the Dodgers have yet to decide on a pitcher for Saturday's bout with the Angels. On Sunday, Clayton Kershaw will be pitching against Jose Quintana. It's going to be the battle of which team is going to break out of their funk first. Knowing the Angels, it's probably going to be the Dodgers, because the Angels couldn't pitch their way out of a carnival game. I probably butchered that joke a lot, but the Angels can't pitch for beans, and then the Dodgers can't hit for beans, so something's got to give. But I think Kershaw's going to rise to the occasion on Saturday. I think tonight is going to be kind of the icebreaker. I feel the Angels could win, but I think at best the Angels take 2 out of 3. I don't see them sweeping the Dodgers. If they sweep the Dodgers, then I think the Dodgers have some questions to be addressed. Or the Dodgers need to address some questions. So we'll see how it goes. But honestly, I got the Dodgers winning 2 out of 3. I think the Dodgers grind it out in the first game, they lose the second game, and then they dominate in the third game. So I don't want this to happen for Angels fans, but I also got to make note that the Angels have just they've lost 5 straight, and they just got swept in a 4-game series against Tampa Bay. At home, mind you. So the Angels bats have been really quiet. Like, they put up a combined 10 runs in that 4-game series. And even when their pitching was decent, their bats were silent against Tampa Bay. So it's quite disappointing that the Angels have been very bad. And then the Dodgers haven't been any better, considering they've had some pitching woes and hitting woes as well. So it's going to be a battle of which team is going to just break out. This is going to be a breakout game for both of those teams. So we'll see. Now let's jump on over to the Padres. Now the Padres have been doing decent. So if you look at the standings, the Padres are 1 game ahead of the Dodgers in the standings, which is cool and all, which is nice and all, as the Padres took 2 out of 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. On Monday, they beat the Pirates 2-0. On Tuesday, they lost to the Pirates 2-1, and then on Wednesday, they beat the Pirates 4-2. Last week, they had themselves a little bit of a duel against the San Francisco Giants. They took 2 out of 3 there. Last Friday, the Padres beat the Giants 3-2. Then on last Saturday, the Padres beat the Giants 6-2, and then last Sunday, the Giants was able to salvage 1 game by taking Game 3 7-1. So this weekend, the Padres have a huge series against the Giants. The reason why I say it's a huge series is because the Giants are surprisingly the leaders of the NL West. They are 18-13. They are 1.5 games ahead of the Dodgers and a half game ahead of the Padres. So that game could have, or that series could have a lot of implications in terms of early implications in terms of the NL West. But these games are going to be played at a. Oh God, I actually don't know the name of San Francisco's Oracle Park. I was going to say Petco Park, but that's the Padres' stadium. Regardless, it's going to be at San Francisco, and I could see San Diego winning 2 out of 3. I think they take no more than 2. If they take 3, awesome, and then I'll eat my crow. But I think the Padres are going to get back in it. They know how huge of a series this is, and they know they don't want to fall too far behind because you got to beat some of these teams. I don't know if San Francisco's good fortune will last forever in the season. It's still early. We're like 29, 30 games into the season. So I think it's a little early to say the San Francisco Giants are going to be the ones that win the NL West, considering there's still plenty of time for the Dodgers and Padres. I still have the Dodgers and Padres going to the postseason, so there's that. And then on Monday through Wednesday, the Padres are still on the road. They have a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field. And then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Padres have a 3-game series at Petco Park against the St. Louis Cardinals, which is cool beans right there. So I'm excited to see what the Padres can do. At least we have one Southern California baseball team doing well. I wish all 3 can do well, but unfortunately, Everyone is just all over the place. So there is that right there for the MLB talk. If you want more MLB talk or in-depth MLB talk, check out Bases Loaded every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on StreamYard or YouTube with Brandon Buckingham, Blake Henley, and Chris Garcia, a.k.a. SportsBrain. Alright, so there's that for the MLB talk. Now let's jump over to some NCAA beach volleyball talk, because this matchup is getting really good, and I'm excited to talk about some NCAA beach volleyball talk. Set point, get back in your cage. I've told you this millions of times. Stop! I'm kidding, y'all. I'm just having some fun. But when it comes to the NCAA beach volleyball scene, we have four Southern California teams that made the tournament. UCLA, the top seed, USC, the number 2 seed, LMU, the number 5 seed, and Cal Poly, the number 7 seed. This weekend begins the NCAA Beach Volleyball Championship, and Sunday Sunday an NCAA Beach Volleyball Champion will be crowned. As of the first round right now, UCLA beat TCU 3-0. USC defeated Cal Poly 3-0. And LMU probably had the most stunning upset of the tournament. Now, I know the tournament only has 4. It was actually the only upset of the tournament of the first round, as they beat LSU 3-1. Which is very astounding, because LMU is only making its first appearance in the NCAA Beach Volleyball Tournament in team history. And I think this was the first year they won the West Coast Conference. And they were the number 5 seed. And they didn't really have too many standout victories going into the postseason until they beat LSU today, which was absolutely amazing. Like, you gotta give it up for LMU, or Loyola Marymount University. So, currently, in the semifinals of the winners bracket, we have LMU and UCLA going to a decisive third set, as both teams have won their matches on courts 1 through 4. UCLA won the court 1 matchup 21-13, 21-12. And they also won Court 3, 21-17, 21-16. And then LMU won Courts 2 and 4, 21-18 and 21-19. And then they won Court 4, 21-13 and then 21-11. So on Court 5, UCLA took the first set 21-15, and then LMU took the second set 21-19. I would be very astounded if LMU beat UCLA. UCLA is the reigning NCAA beach volleyball champion, because there was no tournament last year because of COVID. But if LMU were to beat UCLA, it would be absolutely stunning. I would be shocked to see that magnitude of a win. Like, the fact that they're even taking UCLA to the limit to basically a one-set winner-take-all is absolutely outstanding. I can't believe it. I cannot believe this. I can't believe what I would be seeing. So, this just goes to show you that the NCAA Beach Volleyball Tournament is wide open for anybody. And I said on Monday that it was going to be between UCLA, USC, Florida State, and LSU. Consider me eating crow, because UCLA is currently struggling right now, and LMU, I should have thrown them into the fray, considering LMU is just really good. The only problem with LMU is that they lack experience, but they are not using that as an experience, because they took down a very good, very talented LSU team, considering LSU had probably the best duo of all of the NCAA beach volleyball teams in the tournament. They had Kristen Nuss, and then they also had Teran Cloth. And I like her because she has the same pronunciation as my name. I'm kidding. But the fact that LSU lost to LMU is quite amazing. But I'm all for LMU. I'm all for LMU making a deep NCAA tournament run, and I am all for LMU winning the NCAA tournament altogether. My only thing is, can they get past USC and Florida State and all the other teams? And they also got to go through another round of, and then if they make it to the championship game, knock on wood, they'd have to face the winner of the losers bracket. Well, not losers bracket, the elimination bracket. Elimination bracket sounds like a better name considering it's not as harsh as because I think the losers bracket sounds a little harsh, where elimination bracket sounds a lot more intense. And in other NCAA beach volleyball news regarding Southern California teams, Cal Poly managed to win their first ever NCAA beach volleyball tournament game as they beat Stanford in the elimination bracket. So Cal Poly lives to fight another day as they move on in the elimination bracket, while Stanford's season is done. Cal Poly beat Stanford 3-2. I should have mentioned that Stanford was their opponent, but regardless, Cal Poly beat Stanford, and the Mustangs are moving on. Cal Poly is the representative from the Big West Conference, while Stanford was the representative from the at-large representative from the Pac-12 and whatnot. So there's that right there. So good job to Cal Poly. I'm just wondering what this third set is going to be like. Oh gosh, LMU is up 12-8 in the third set. I know set point isn't until probably Monday, maybe Tuesday. I might push it to Tuesday. It all depends on what I'm doing. Maybe Wednesday, just because I got some projects I got to finish up. But regardless, LMU is up. LMU is 3 points away from pulling an upset. I haven't been this excited for volleyball since, maybe last year when it came to the NCAA tournament. But this is going to be awesome if LMU pulls off a historic upset over UCLA, because UCLA is rich with tradition when it comes to beach volleyball. They have a lot of talented players like Savvy Simo, Devin Newberry, Lindsey Sparks, Abby Van Winkle. The list goes on and on. But this LMU team could be the Cinderella. It would be awesome to see LMU beach volleyball pulling off the upset. I am all for LMU. I am all for it. I really want to see LMU pull the upset. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to take... I got to tweet a shocked face off. I got to tweet a shocked face, honestly. Okay. Okay, back to set point. Or not set point. SoCal Supreme Sports Show. See, set point, you're distracting me. What do you got to say for yourself? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, so that's pretty... I'll just leave it at that for the NCAA beach volleyball talk, considering I was going to talk about the other NCAA tournament teams, but unfortunately I kind of screwed up. I didn't get all the teams written down who have currently made the NCAA tournament. All I could tell you is that UCLA women's soccer got eliminated in penalty kicks, and same with USC. USC lost in the second round to Ole Miss via penalty kicks, and then UCLA lost to Clemson in penalty kicks. I'm just going to say this right now. I hate penalty kicks. The fact that you have to decide a season through there is absolutely disgusting. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I'm sorry, but I'm just not a fan of penalty kicks. So it is what it is. UCLA and USC both had great seasons when it came to women's soccer. It just sucks that their season had to be decided via penalty kicks, and it really sucks that it had to end that way, just because no one likes losing on penalty kicks. Nobody likes losing on penalty kicks. It's the worst way to go out, and honestly, if it were up to me, I'd just say keep playing until a winner's decided, but that would take forever. So, yeah, maybe I get where penalty kicks are coming from, but it's just a heartbreaking way to lose. I don't even think UCLA men's soccer made the tournament, because they wound up finishing 2-6-2 in conference and 3-7-2 overall. I can't believe that. Yeah, I guess the UCLA men's soccer didn't even make the tournament, so whoops. Oh well. So, collegiate soccer is out for the most part. Again, I'll have a better understanding of all the NCAA teams and their respective sports next week, just because this week was kind of my first week getting back, and I didn't know if I was going to be doing SoCal Supreme Sports Show today. I thought about it, and I thought against it. And then I was like, I got to do the NFL draft and recap what happened with the Chargers and what happened with the Rams. And if I put it off for another week, it's just going to feel more stale. Whereas if I do it this week, at least I have that little window frame. I didn't want to do it last week just because I didn't want to just talk about the Chargers' first-round pick, and the Rams didn't even have a first-round pick. So, just trying to get more updates on LMU beach volleyball and how they are just a few points away from pulling off the win. And it's official. LMU beats UCLA and advances to the Winners Bracket Championship. So, Justin Lars says, Indiana men's soccer is into the quarterfinals after beating Marquette 2-1. Awesome. That's really cool, and I can't wait for you to talk about that. Definitely do listen into Justin Lars' show. He does a great job, and he also... Fun fact about Justin Lars, he's a part of the drumline corps called High Octane Entertainment, hence the show name being called High Octane Entertainment. And he drums up a storm, so... Anyway, back to NCAA beach volleyball. LMU defeated UCLA as they won the third set. I don't know what the third set score was, but all I know is that LMU won it in 3 sets and is off to the Winners Bracket Championship. It's not the NCAA Championship, it's kind of the overall semifinals, but LMU will be fighting for another day, and they get to pretty much have the day off for the rest of the day and whatnot. It's kind of tough to explain, but basically LMU is in the semifinals while UCLA has to go down to the losers, or not the losers bracket, the elimination bracket, and they have to work their way up, which kind of makes me wonder, can USC beat FSU? Considering this is how wide open the NCAA tournament is in terms of beach volleyball. There's a lot of talented teams right there. And with LMU defeating UCLA, it just goes to show you that it's wide open. So there's that. So that's going to be that for the NCAA beach volleyball talk. And we're just going to call it an episode right there. I think this was kind of like the icebreaker for me to get back into the swing of things. The reason why I haven't been fully active through the SoCal Supreme Sports Show Twitter account is because, obviously, there's a lot of volleyball going on. There's NCAA men's volleyball, and then there's also NCAA beach volleyball going on, but also because I've had to do a lot of schoolwork. In about 3 weeks from today, I'm planning on graduating from Cal State Long Beach, and once that happens, the world is my oyster, which is awesome sauce. So that's kind of the reason why I've been busy. That's kind of the reason why I also had to take SoCal Supreme Sports Show off last week. But it's not going anywhere. And we have plenty of Southern California sports talk to talk about. I know I keep doing Set Point as well. I know I'm doing Set Point mainly, but that's because volleyball season is still in effect for at least 3 more days. Because the NCAA Men's Volleyball Championship is Saturday, and then the NCAA Beach Volleyball Championship is Sunday. So most likely I'll be doing Set Point on Tuesday because I have something going on Monday, and then who knows, it might not even be Tuesday. I might have to push it to Wednesday considering I gotta finish up a project on Tuesday. So we'll see though, time will tell, but I know we're gonna have Set Point next week, and the SoCal Supreme Sports Show after this next week will be back into its regular swing of things. So I won't have school dangling above me and whatnot, so there's that. So I'm excited for what's to come going forward when it comes to the collegiate sports and also to the professional sports as well. And then I guess one last shout out I'll give it to UC Santa Barbara's men's volleyball team as they advanced to the semifinals of the NCAA men's volleyball tournament. Unfortunately, they got swept by Hawaii, but Hawaii was really good. I saw the match with a lot of my buddies. They were all hoping for Santa Barbara to win, but unfortunately, Hawaii pulled off the victory. Well, unfortunately for them, of course, but Santa Barbara unfortunately fell short of its goal of pulling off the upset. Well, they weren't even close, but you know what I mean. But one last shout out to UC Santa Barbara men's volleyball, as I'm going to close the book on that volleyball season when it comes to this show. Don't worry, there will be more volleyball talk on next week when I do Set Point. But without any further delay, thank you all for tuning in to today's show of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I definitely appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you to the chat room, Justin Lahr, for popping in, as well as Davidson Crooks. And then I appreciate everyone else listening live or listening on the playback. So I definitely do appreciate it. And thank you, Justin, for saying great show. I really appreciate you tuning in for the most part. It really means a lot, and definitely do check out Justin Lahr's show. I'm not kidding. He does a great job with his show. But today's lineup of shows when it comes to IE Sports Radio isn't quite done yet. In about 22 minutes, we will have my boy Andrew Hagenbaugh doing the State of Ohio Sports at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So without any further delay, let's get on out of here and let's go home because I've got a heavy schedule today. So let's do it. Thank you all once again for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Next week, I promise you all that the SoCal Supreme Sports Show will be back to being on regularly, and I can't wait for the 50th episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, but that's looking too far ahead. Speaking of looking ahead, in 8 more days, IE Sports Radio will be celebrating its 7th birthday, its 7th year anniversary, and it's going to be really, really fun. It's going to be a special edition of The Defining Moment, and I don't know if The Defining Moment special edition will top last year's, but who's to say? Regardless, definitely be on the lookout for that. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourselves a great rest of the day. Please do check out the SoCal Warriors semi-pro football team. Definitely check out Legacy Financial, and I will see you on the other side. Have a great day, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!